next presenter, we have Colleen Tressler from the Federal Trade Commission, who is going to be talking to us about buying a used car. Now, this one is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be forwarding Colleen's slides on her behalf. So, Colleen, are you there?
I am here.
All right.
And thank you so much for having me this afternoon. Just to let everybody know, although it's probably in my bio, I work in the Federal Trade Commission's Division of Consumer and Business Education, and that's where we basically produce practical and actionable information to help people understand their rights and responsibilities in the marketplace. So I'm happy to talk to you today about ways you can help educate your students about buying a used car. I imagine it's a hot topic. But also, you know, a lot of people are buying used cars these days. The average price of a new car is well over $30,000. So that really gives the used car market a pretty competitive edge when people go to buy a new set of wheels. So on the slide topics to be covered, I'm basically going to be giving a little bit of time to each one of these items, starting with before you buy a car, and all the way down to the free resources we have for you from the Federal Trade Commission. So on the slide before you buy a used car, there's some things to consider really before you open your wallet or sign on the dotted line. So the first thing to do is determine your needs and then set a budget. And the FTC's budget worksheet at consumer.gov can help with this. And I think, Hillary, you probably have a link to that worksheet just to show folks.
We do. It's in that note taker and agenda handout that folks can download from the handouts file, and it'll also be posted online tonight or tomorrow morning as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so moving right along, we want people to test drive the car under varied road conditions, and this includes things like hills, highways, and in stop-and-go traffic. You want to ask for the car's maintenance record, whether it be from the owner, dealer, or if a repair shop is selling the used car. You want to determine the value of the vehicle before you negotiate the purchase price. You can check with publications and websites known as the National Automobile Dealers Association, Edmunds, we've all heard of Kelley Blue Book, and Consumer Reports. Now, some of these organizations charge for the information, some offer it for free. You also want to research the upkeep costs for models you're interested in. You would think that, you know, a small, maybe Ford Escort would cost a lot less to maintain than maybe a 3-year-old Audi. You also want to examine the car using an inspection checklist. And you can find checklists in magazines, books, and on websites that deal with used cars. And I'll be talking a little bit more about the used car buyer's guide that the FTC issues. You can use that as a shopping checklist as well. So now we're getting into some information where you want to check on whether there have been any unrepaired recalls on a vehicle. And this is new advice that we're giving to consumers. You want to start by asking the dealer, if you're buying from a dealer, if the vehicle you're considering has a recall. But you can also check yourself by entering the vehicle identification number at safercar.gov. Now, the vehicle identification number is located in a number of places on the car and in documentation, but the easiest place to go and look for it is, it'll be when you look through the windshield on the driver's side, there's a little metal plate, and I think it's like a 16 or 19-digit number, and that's your vehicle identification number. So even if, for example, you're just like on a Sunday afternoon when a dealer might be closed and you're just looking at cars and you don't really want to be bothered with the salesperson, just copy down the VIN number and just do a little bit of research on your own. Now, if you don't want to go online, you can also contact the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's Vehicle Safety Hotline. The toll-free number is 888-327-4236. So it's either safercar.gov or that toll-free number. That's both the NHTSA safety hotline. If there is a recall, the best thing to do is ask the dealer to fix it or to give you information showing it was fixed. Now keep in mind, federal law doesn't require dealers to fix recalls on used cars, so you might need to get the repair done yourself. But don't wait, because according to NHTSA, all safety recalls pose safety risks and left unrepaired might lead to accidents. The next thing you want to do is get an independent review of a vehicle's history. And you want to check a trusted database service that gathers information from state and local authorities, salvage yards, and insurance companies. So for example, the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System, their website is vehiclehistory.gov. And there you can get a vehicle history report with title, insurance loss, and salvage information. This site has approved providers of vehicle history reports. You can choose one, again, enter the VIN and pay the provider's fee to learn the car's history. The system's approved providers offer vehicle history reports to consumers, car dealerships, and financial institutions, but not all vehicle history reports are available through the system website. Reports from other providers sometimes have additional information like accident and repair history. And you probably all are familiar with Carfax.com or AutoCheck.com. These are just two of other private sites you might want to check. I just want to note here that the FTC doesn't endorse any specific services like this. The information in the reports may not be complete, so you may want to get a second report from a different company. So it's not a bad idea to get, a Carfax report and an AutoCheck report and just cross-check what they offer as far as information on the car. And then lastly, the National Insurance Crime Bureau's website lets you enter a vehicle identification number to find out if a vehicle has been flood damaged, was stolen but unrecovered, or otherwise declared as salvage. And recently, the FTC has put out some warnings to consumers when the flooding occurred most recently down south. A lot of those cars are so-called cleaned up and shipped out of state and put on the market for sale. And flood damaged cars very often are a really bad deal. So that's why you want to check the NICB's website to see if information about those cars has been reported there. And the last thing really is, consider hiring a mechanic to inspect the car. A vehicle history report is not a substitute for an independent vehicle inspection, so we always recommend that. Now moving on to the next slide, pay in full or finance. So yes, you have two choices. You can pay in full or finance over time, and while paying in full can take a chunk of cash, financing actually increases the total cost of the car because you're also paying for the cost of credit, including interest and other costs. And to back up onto something Bill said, when you finance a vehicle, if you're a young person who doesn't really have a credit report established yet, this is one way to help start building your credit report. If you finance, you want to consider how much you can put down, the monthly payment, the financing term, whether it be 36, 48, 52 months, and the annual percentage rates. Believe it or not, rates are usually higher and financing periods shorter on used cars than on new ones because lenders see used cars as a little bit more of a risk. Dealers and other finance sources, including finance companies, credit unions, and banks, offer a variety of financing terms, so it's important to shop around, compare offers, and negotiate the best deal you can. And this is important for your students. If you're a first-time buyer or if your credit isn't great, be cautious about special financing offers. Buying a car is a very emotional purchase, and it's all nice and shiny and fixed up and ready to go. Sometimes that can overpower our practical reasoning skills. So they also can require a big down payment and a high APR, these special financing offers. So if you agree to financing that carries a high APR, you may be taking a big risk, and I'll give you a couple of examples. If you decide to sell the car before the end of the financing period, the amount you get from the sale may be less than the amount you need to pay off the financing agreement. And if the car is repossessed because you couldn't make your payments or declared a total loss because of an accident, you may have to pay a considerable amount to repay the loan even after the proceeds from the sale of the car or the insurance payment have been deducted. So one little, like, wrapping up this slide is, if money is tight, you might consider paying cash for a less expensive car. Okay, moving on to the next slide. If you decide to finance, there are just some considerations here. You want to, what is the exact price you're paying for the vehicle? How much are you financing? Keep in mind those other costs, gas, insurance, what have you. What is the finance charge? That's the dollar amount the credit will cost you. What is the APR, which we all know is a measure of the cost of credit expressed as a yearly rate? How many payments will you make, and how much is each one? And what is the total sales price? And that's the sum of the monthly payments plus the down payment. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit in the next slide about dealer sales and the buyer's guide. So used cars, have discussed, are sold through a variety of outlets, whether it's franchised and independent dealers, rental car companies, leasing companies, used car superstores, and even online. So where do we normally get information about something we don't know how to do? We talk to friends, relatives, and coworkers for recommendations. So we say the same things for looking for a place to buy a used car. You also can contact your local consumer protection agencies and state attorney general to find out if any unresolved complaints are on file about a particular dealer. You can also search online for reviews or complaints, and what we recommend is that you enter the name of the seller and the word review or complaint into a search engine, and whatever pops up should give you a pretty good idea of whether you want to continue to do business or look somewhere else to buy a car. It's true that some dealers attract customers with no haggle prices, factory certified used cars, and better warranty, but you really also need to consider the dealer's reputation when you evaluate their ads. Now I want to make a clarification on something that people sometimes misunderstand in the marketplace. So dealers are not required by federal law to give used car buyers a 3-day right to cancel. And some people may refer to this as the cooling off rule. Some states, dealers are required to give a right to cancel, and in yet other states, the right to return the car in a few days for a refund exists only if the dealer chooses to offer this privilege. So dealers may describe the right to cancel as a cooling off period, like I said, a money back guarantee, or a no questions asked return policy. But before you buy from a dealer, ask about the dealer's return policy, get it in writing, and read it carefully. And it doesn't hurt to double check with those consumer protection officials just to make sure that the dealer's telling you the truth. Now, the Federal Trade Commission enforces the used car rule, and it requires dealers to display a buyer's guide in every used car they offer for sale and to give it to the buyer after the sale. And I think, Hillary, this is another PDF that you probably have loaded for the participants to see.
Yep, we have the link to that in there as well. I can show it to you here real quick, though. Let's pull that up for everybody. So the link here is in the note taker and the agenda, but here we see the buyer's guide on the first page, as is no warranty, what have you. And then pages 2 and pages 3, or page 3.
And I just want to stop here for a second and say that the FTC periodically reviews rules and opens things up for public comment. And the FTC used car rule and the buyer's guide were two things that we recently wrapped up. They're what we call at the commission right now for a vote. And we hope to have updated versions of the buyer's guide and the consumer publication Buying a Used Car probably in the next month or so. So the information that I'm giving you today as far as the presentation and on the slides is 100% accurate. The buyer's guide is just going to look a little bit different. Nothing's being taken away, actually. We're adding more protections for consumers and more advice. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so you might wonder, does the used car rule, because it says car, just apply to cars, or does it apply to other things? So it does apply to not only cars, but light-duty vans, light-duty trucks, what we call demonstrators, and program cars. Now, demonstrators are actually new cars that haven't been owned, leased, or used as rentals, but have been driven by dealer staff. So these are opportunities to get a really good deal on a car. Program cars are low mileage, current model year vehicles returned from short-term leases or rentals. Now, buyer's guides do not have to be posted on motorcycles, and I doubt that your students are going to buy recreational vehicles, but they don't have to be posted on those either. So basically, anyone who sells or offers for sale fewer than 6 cars in a year doesn't have to post a buyer's guide. So you might know somebody in your neighborhood who just likes to buy cars and fix them up a little bit as a hobby or for cash. And, you know, if they sell 5 a year, they don't have to comply with the FTC's used car rule. I'm just going to give you a few bits of information on what the buyer's guide tells you. It offers the major mechanical and electrical systems on the car, including some of the major problems you should look out for. It tells you whether the vehicle is being sold as is or with a warranty, what percentage of the repair cost a dealer will pay under the warranty. It tells you to get all promises in writing, because that's what's going to count if you ever have to go to court or dispute something. To ask to have the car inspected by an independent mechanic before you buy. And once again, to get a vehicle history report, and you can do that by going to any of the websites I mentioned before, or we have them all listed on ftc.gov/usedcars. We also have a little bit extra protection for people who speak Spanish. So for those buyers, the buyer's guide must say to ask for a Spanish buyer's guide if the sale is conducted in Spanish. And then it's also the dealer's contact information, including the contact for complaints, and to remember spoken promises are difficult to enforce. And we always recommend that you keep the buyer's guide with all your other important information, so if you ever need to return it to it for reference, you know where it is. Okay, the next slide I want to talk about are warranties. And there are a number here. This can get a little complicated, but when you buy a used car from a dealer, the guide must reflect any negotiated changes in warranty coverage. It becomes part of your sales contract and overrides any contrary provisions. For example, if the buyer's guide says the car comes with a warranty and the contract says the car is sold as is, the dealer must give you the warranty described in the guide. So the guide is paramount. Okay, so the different types of warranties. The first one is as is, no dealer warranty. When the dealer offers a vehicle as is, the box next to the as is, no dealer warranty disclosure on the buyer's guide must be checked. If the box is checked but the dealer promises to repair the vehicle or cancel the sale if you're not satisfied, make sure that promise is written on the buyer's guide. Otherwise, you may have a hard time getting the dealer to make good on his word. Next, we have implied warranties. Now, state laws hold dealers responsible if cars they sell don't meet reasonable quality standards. These obligations are called implied warranties, or unspoken, unwritten promises from the seller to the buyer. However, dealers in most states can use the words as is or with all faults in a written notice to buyers to eliminate implied warranties. And there is no specified time period for these types of warranties. If you have a written warranty that doesn't cover your problems, you still may have coverage through implied warranties. And that's because when a dealer sells a vehicle with a written warranty or service contract, implied warranties are included automatically. Dealers can't delete this protection if they provide a written warranty. So any limit on implied warranty's time must be included on the written warranty. Okay, now we're getting into full and limited warranties. So dealers may offer a full or limited warranty on all or some of a vehicle's systems or components. Most used car warranties are limited and their coverage varies. A full warranty includes the following terms and conditions. Anyone who owns the vehicle during the warranty period is entitled to warranty service. Warranty service will be provided free of charge, including removing and reinstalling a covered system. You have the choice of a replacement or a full refund if the dealer can't repair the vehicle or covered system after a reasonable number of tries. You only have to tell the dealer that warranty service is needed to get it, unless the dealer can prove that it is reasonable to require you to do more. So if any of those statements doesn't apply, the warranty is limited. A full or limited warranty doesn't have to cover the entire vehicle. The dealer may specify that only certain systems are covered. So there again, it's important to understand, what you're obligating yourself to and what the dealer is responsible for before you sign on the dotted line. And we also recommend that you make sure you get a copy of the dealer's warranty document if you buy a car that is offered with a warranty. Review it carefully to determine what is covered. The warranty gives detailed information such as how to get repairs for a covered system or part. It also tells you who is legally responsible for fulfilling the terms of the warranty. And if it's a third party, you really want to investigate their reputation. Like before, you can look up reviews online. People often ask, well, what about unexpired manufacturer's warranty? And if you're buying a car and it's only a couple years old, some of these cars have 5 or 7 year warranties. So if the manufacturer's warranty is still in effect, the dealer may note that in the systems recovered covered duration section of the buyer's guide. And to make sure you can take advantage of the coverage, ask the dealer for the car's warranty documents. I mean, we can't say that enough. Just get the paperwork, And you want to verify the information, that is what's covered, expiration date versus miles. Now, some people say, it's 5 years, 60,000. It's whichever comes first. And you can call the manufacturer's zone office if you can't get it from the dealer. But make sure, once again, you have that VIN number when you call. Okay, now we're moving on to the next slide, which discusses service contracts. And I want to make a real important clarification in here that a service contract is a promise to perform or pay for certain repairs or services. And although a service contract is sometimes called an extended warranty, it is not a warranty as defined by federal law. A service contract may be arranged anytime and always costs extra, whereas a warranty comes with a new car and is included in the original price. And used cars also may come with some type of warranty coverage included in the sales price. It's the separate and additional cost that distinguishes a service contract from a warranty. So we have some considerations here as to whether you might want to get a service contract. Now keep in mind what I just said before. Don't feel pressured if when you go to a dealer, they say, here's a service contract, you really need to have this. So what I just said before is you can, get it anytime. You don't have to get it at point of sale. So watch out for some of those high pressure sales tactics. But you want to, if you're thinking about it, whether the service contract duplicates warranty coverage or offers protection that begins after the warranty runs out. Does the service contract extend beyond the time you expect to own the car? If so, is the service contract transferable or is a shorter contract available? You want to consider whether the vehicle is likely to need repairs and how much they're going to cost. And you can determine the value of a service contract by figuring out whether the cost of repairs is likely to exceed the price of a contract. There again, you can Google that information. How much does it cost time, labor and parts to replace an alternator, for example. You want to consider whether the service contract covers all parts and systems and check out those claims carefully because in your mind, bumper to bumper may mean something in your mind and something completely different in the contract. You want to consider whether a deductible is required, and if so, the amount and terms, whether the contract covers incidental expenses like towing and rental car charges while your car is being serviced, whether repairs and routine maintenance have to be done at the dealer or at a location of your choice, and whether there's a cancellation and refund policy for the service contract, and if there are any cancellation fees. So if you buy a service contract from the dealer within 90 days of buying a used vehicle, federal law prohibits the dealer from eliminating implied warranties on the systems covered in the contract. So for example, if you buy a car as is, the car normally is not covered by implied warranties. But if you buy a service contract covering the engine, you automatically get implied warranties on the engine. So these may give you protection beyond the scope of the service contract. Just, make sure you get written confirmation that your service contract is in effect. Okay, moving on to the next slide. This is talking about getting an independent inspection before you buy. And we like to say, for about $100, you'll get a general indication of the mechanical condition of the vehicle. An inspection is a good idea even if the car has been certified and inspected by the dealer and is being sold with a warranty or service contract. A mechanical inspection, and this is really important to note, is different from a safety inspection. Safety inspections usually focus on conditions that make a car unsafe to drive. They are not designed to determine the overall reliability or mechanical condition of a vehicle. And if you want to find a pre-purchase inspection facility other than the dealer, check the phone book under Automotive Diagnostic Service. You can go online, ask friends, relatives, coworkers, anybody else for referrals. We also recommend that you look for facilities that display certifications like Automotive Service Excellence. You'll see the ASE seal, and you can search online for comments as well. We recommend that you ask what the inspection includes, how long it takes, and how much it costs. If the dealer won't let you take a car off the lot, perhaps because of insurance restrictions, you may be able to find a mobile inspection service that will go to the dealer. More and more mobile ready because of customer convenience, these things are happening. I had a battery, for example, that went up on me last winter, and I thought, well, I don't want to pay for towing service to get this to the dealer or the garage. What am I going to do? Well, I have AAA, called them. They said, we'll bring the battery to you. You just tell us what make and model of car you have. So if a mobile inspection service isn't available, you can ask the dealer to have the car inspected at a facility that you designate. Maybe there's somebody you like dealing with on a regular basis for auto repairs and maintenance. You will have to pay the inspection fee. If a dealer won't allow an independent inspection, you might want to consider doing business elsewhere. Now, once the vehicle has been inspected, ask the mechanic for a written report with a cost estimate for all necessary repairs. Be sure the report includes the vehicle's make, model, and once again, that vehicle identification number. If you decide to make a purchase offer to the dealer after considering the inspection's results, you can use the estimated repair cost to negotiate the price of the vehicle. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit on the next slide about private sales. Now, buying a car from a private individual is different from buying from a dealer. So private sellers generally are not covered by the used car rule and don't have to use the buyer's guide. However, like I said before, you can use the guide's list as an automobile system checklist. You can ask the seller if you can have the vehicle inspected by a mechanic. And I think most people who want to make a pretty quick sale really already know that. It's good to have a car pre-inspected and they have the documentation for you. Private sales usually are not covered by the implied warranties of state law. That means a private sale probably will be on an as-is basis, unless your purchase agreement with the seller specifically states otherwise. If you have a written contract with the seller, he or she must live up to the promises stated in the contract. It doesn't matter whether they're a business or an individual, that holds up in court. Now, the car may be covered by a manufacturer's warranty or a separately purchased service contract. However, warranties and service contracts, like we said, may not be transferable, and other limits or costs may apply. So before you buy the car, ask to review its warranty or service contract. Many states don't require individuals to ensure that their vehicles will pass state inspection or carry a minimum warranty before they offer them for sale. And once again, you can ask your state attorney general's office or local consumer protection agency about the requirements in your state. So now we've talked about buying from a dealer. We've talked about buying from a private sale. And either way, you might have a problem after the transaction. So what do? If you have a problem that you think is covered by a warranty or service contract, follow the instructions to get service. If a dispute arises, try to work it out with the dealer. Talk with the salesperson or, if necessary, the owner of the dealership. Many problems can be resolved at this level. However, if you believe you're entitled to service, but the dealer disagrees, you do have some options. If your warranty is backed by a car manufacturer, contact the local representative of the manufacturer. The local, or what they call zone representative, is authorized to decide issues of warranty, service, and repairs to satisfy customers. Some manufacturers are willing to repair certain problems in specific models for free, even if the manufacturer's warranty does not cover the problem. Ask the manufacturer's zone representative or the service department of a franchise dealership that sells your car model whether there is such a policy. You also can contact your state attorney general or the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. Another option is to contact a dispute resolution organization if you and the dealer are willing. Under the terms of many warranties, this may be a required first step before you can sue the dealer or manufacturer. If you bought your car from a franchise dealer, you may be able to seek mediation through what is known as the Automotive Consumer Action Program, also known as AutoCAP. This is a dispute resolution program courted nationally by the National Association of Automobile Dealers, or NADA, and sponsored through state and local dealer associations in many cities. So check with the dealer association in your area to see if they operate a mediation program. Hopefully you'll never need it, but just to let you know what your options are. And if none of these steps is successful, small claims court is an option. Here you can resolve disputes involving small amounts of money, often without an attorney. The clerk of your local small claims court can tell you how to file a suit and the dollar limit in your state. So that kind of wraps up, the buying process, your warranties, what to do if you have problems. And then the last slide is really just a compilation of some of the resources I mentioned in my presentation. There also are some videos that we recently produced, all of which are less than a minute, and they're animated. You might want to use these in your presentations to your students. Hillary, I think we might be running a little long. I don't know if you have time to show the buying a used car, or if people can just go to that link when they have time.
Sure, let's go ahead and just show that one.
You need a car. Where do you start? Here? Actually, the best place to start researching used cars is online, so you know exactly what you want and what you can afford. The more you know going in, the better you'll feel driving out. At the dealers, there are a few other things to know. Dealers have to put a buyer's guide on every used car. The buyer's guide will tell you if a car has a warranty or is being sold as is. But that's not all you need to know. Ask the dealer to run a car's vehicle history report or get a copy yourself, so you know where the car has been. Ask to get the car inspected by an independent mechanic and check to see if there are any recalls on the car. It'll all help avoid trouble down the road. You have a right to know the facts about the car you buy. If a dealer isn't honest, let the FTC know. Want to know more? Visit ftc.gov/cars.
Thank you, Hillary.
Yes, thank you. One quick question I think for you, Colleen, that came up was, is there a go-to resource about upkeep information on used cars?
There really isn't anything that the FTC produces, but there again, if you Google even that question with a model and year, I know for my car, I have put in, the model and year, and I can get my maintenance schedule. And it's just a really easy thing to do. Now, that might not come with pricing, because if you go to the dealer, chances are it's going to be more expensive than an independent mechanic. But you can kind of get a feel for what we call shop rates. That's an hourly rate for labor. Or you can just Google like the price of labor, parts, and installation of, like I mentioned, an alternator or a timing chain or something like that.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being on, and it was a great presentation. Lots of good information. And in our household, we're going to be in the market probably for a used car here pretty soon, so I was taking extra notes on this one. In fact.
Great.
So,
thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.